In this lecture, we are going to learn about decision control structure. One of the most important topic, what are decisions? When we have a question and it has two answers. Like if I ask you, would you like to have a tea? Your answer could be yes and no. Now depending on your choice, I can offer you either tea or maybe I can ask you something else. So usually when we talk about condition, is basically a question. So assuming these to be few statements in the program, at some point of time I might have a decision to make. So suppose I'm saying, do you have a question? So now this can have two outputs. One could be yes and no. So if my choice is yes, I will execute these set of instructions. If my answer is no, I will execute these set of instructions. In case of no, all these statements will be skipped. Let us take another example. Suppose I have initialized two variables a and b, 10 and 20, and I'm going to check whether a is greater than b. Now this is my condition. Okay, now this condition can be either true or false. If the condition is false, we can print b is the larger number, and if the condition is true, we can print a is a larger number. Now we're going to check syntax for decision control structure. As we have seen, all decision control structures will have a condition associated with it. So every condition will hold a result which can be evaluated to either true or false. So these are few valid conditions: a greater than b, a greater than 10, 0 and 1. Now how these are valid conditions? All the conditions are evaluated to a certain value. If value is 0, the result is false. And if the condition is evaluated to any non-zero number, it will be treated as a true. In this case, 1 is true and 0 is false. Similarly, minus 100, little constant a, all these values are true. Now let us check the syntax. So this is general if statement. Format 1 as an example is if inside of parenthesis I am writing condition. If the condition is true, all these instructions will be executed. This whole part is my if block. If my condition is false, this whole block will be skipped. It will not get executed at all. Now let's talk about format 2. If my if block has a single instruction, I can exclude writing curly braces. So we can just simply write my condition and the instruction. So this instruction will only get executed if the condition is true. Now we will check if else statement. So similarly, like if, whole format for if it's same, but what we will do here is only if my condition is true, some statement will get executed. However, in case of condition is false, we were not writing anything. So if we have those kind of cases, we can write else block. Okay, so if my condition is true, this whole thing will executed, else these statements will get executed. Similarly, if we just have single statement for if else, so there's no need of writing curly braces over here. Okay, you can just simply write if condition your instruction 1, else instruction 2. We can also write if else as a nested conditions like this. I'm writing if block, then this is my else block. So after this else, I'm adding another if statement. Okay, and then this is the block for that if. And if this condition is false, I'm going to write else. So this block will always get executed if my first condition and second condition both are false. Okay, so how this program will execute? Let's check. If this condition is true, this block will get executed. If it is false, it will check the next statement. If this condition is true, this block will get executed. If this condition is false, it will execute this block for else. Again, you can exclude this else based on your programming logic. Else part is completely optional. The same block can be written like this if you have just single instruction for each of the block. Okay, so if this condition is true, this will get executed. Else if this condition is true, this will get executed. Else instruction 3 will get executed. Now I'm going to explain few programs based on decision control structure. This is the first program in which we are taking two numbers from user and we'll be identifying which is the largest among those. So these are two numbers I'm taking from user, and here's my condition: a greater than b. Suppose user has entered a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. My condition is if a is greater than 10. So condition will be evaluated as 10 greater than 20. Obviously 10 is not greater than 20. So this block will be skipped and controller will go to this line. So it will print largest value is 20. It will print value of b. Now we are going to check whether number is positive or not. Again we are taking a number from user which is n. So my condition is 10 greater than 0. So 10 is greater than 0, that means the condition is true. So it will print given number is positive. Else if n is greater than 0, if the condition is true, this part and this parts will be skipped and program will terminate. Now let us assume user has entered minus 10 as a number. So in the condition we are checking minus 10 greater than 0. This is a false condition. So it will go to next if else part. Here it will check minus 10 less than 0, which is true. So it will print this part given number is negative, and it will skip else part. Now let us assume if user has entered 0. Okay, so 0 greater than 0 is false, so this part will get skipped. Else if 0 less than 0, this is also false, so even this part will get false. And else we don't have any additional conditions, so this part will get executed. It will simply print number is 0, and after that program will get terminated. Now we are going to check whether number is less than 10 or not. So we are asking user to enter value. It will be stored in variable n, and after that we are checking n is greater than 10. So suppose user has entered 20. Here we will check 20 is greater than 10, which is true. So it will print this block. Suppose user has entered minus 20. So in that case, this will be false because minus 20 is not greater than 10. So this part will not get executed. The compiler will go on to the next line to check else if minus 20 is less than 10, which is true. So it will print this part. Similarly, if I just enter 10 as my number, in that case, this will be false. This will be false because 10 is not greater than 10. 10 is not less than 10. We are just printing that number is 10. Now we are going to check whether the user's enter number is even or odd. So again we are asking user to enter the value. We are storing it into n, and after that we are using this percentage sign which will give us a remainder once we divide n by 2. Okay, suppose my number is 5, so 5 modulus 2 is equal to 1. So if 1 is here, that means 2 was not able to completely divide this number. It can completely divide only if the remainder will be 0. Assuming another number which is 10, so 10 modulus 2 will be 0. So we can say that this is my even number, and in this case it will be odd number. Okay, so if this is my n, what we need to write in the condition that n modulus 2 must be equal to 0. Okay, so this is why we are writing condition as if n percent 2 equal to 0, then number is even, else number is odd. Now we are going to check whether user's enter number is divisible 5 or not. So as done in the previous program, what we need to just check whether n modulus 5 equal to 0. That means 5 is able to divide user's enter number completely. And in other cases, if the remainder is not 0, that means the number is not divisible by 5. Okay, so assuming 13 to be my number, so 13 modulus 5 will give me remainder as 3. And if number was, let's say, 15, so 15 modulus 5 will be 0. So in that case we can say that number is divisible 5. In this case it is not. So my condition will be n percent 5 equal to 0. In that case number is divisible by 5, else the number is not divisible by 5. Now we are going to check whether user's enter number is multiple of 7. It has the similar logic. Will be just again use the modulus operator to check whether the remainder is 0 or not. Let us take the first example. Suppose user has entered 35. So 35 modulus 7 will be 0 because 7 5s are 35. So there will be 0 remainder in this case. Suppose user has entered 5. In that case 7 cannot divide 5. So my remainder will be 5. So 5 is not multiple of 7. In our program, our condition is if n% 7 equal to 0, then number is multiple of 7, else it is not. Now we are going to compare two numbers, whether those numbers are equal or which one is the greater. So I am asking user to enter two numbers, and my condition will be a greater than b. If a is greater than b, we are just simply printing a is greater than b. In the else block, if b is greater than a, we can print b is greater than a. Now if both of these conditions are false, that means both are equal numbers. User has entered same numbers. So let us take an example. Suppose user has entered 10 and 20. These are my values of a and b. So 10 greater than 20, this is false. 20 greater than 10, which is true. So this part will get executed. Suppose user has entered, let's say 20 and 20. So again this part will be false. This will also be false. So compiler will print both are equal. In the next lecture, we are going to learn about logical operator. So these are little advanced concept of decision control structures. So I strongly suggest you to try programs that we have seen on decision control structures before moving on to the next chapter. Now we are going to learn about logical operators. In C, there are three logical operators. First one is AND operator, which is denoted by $&. Then we have OR operator, which is denoted by two vertical strokes, and then we have NOT operator, which is denoted by exclamation mark. So what is AND operator? In AND operator, if both the expressions or both the conditions are true, then that complete expression, which includes two conditions, will be true. Else it will be considered as false. In case of OR operator, if any of the two conditions are true, then whole condition inside your if or else if will become true. And in case of NOT, it will just negate the result. So if your original condition is true and if you have applied a NOT operator, it will become false. If your condition results are false and you have applied NOT operator, that will become true. So this is a small table for better understanding. So when we apply AND to my first condition and my second condition, okay. So if my both the conditions are true, so my result will be true. Else in all the cases, if you check over here, it is false. So it doesn't matter whether one of them is true. Okay, both the conditions or all the condition has to be true. Only then my final result will be considered as true. So for even simpler understanding, when you apply AND operator, just simply read it as all. So when all conditions are true, only then your final condition will be true. Okay. So suppose this is your first condition, this is second condition, and this is third condition. If all of these conditions are true, only then this if block will get executed. If any of the condition is false, else block will get executed. Now in case of OR operator, OR means any. So if any of the condition is true, okay, let us check this table. If condition 1 and 2 are true, or if any one of the condition is true, here condition 1 is true, in the second row, in the third row, condition 2 is true, in that case both the results are true. If both the conditions are false, only in that case OR will hold result as false, else everything will be true. Okay, so OR is equal to any. So in case of if statement, if any of this condition is true, this will get executed. So how to read it? If true or true or true. Okay, so if any of these three condition is true, this part will get executed, else this will get executed. So when all are false, in that case else block will get executed. Now in case of NOT, it is very simple. It will just negate result of my existing calculation. Okay, so suppose I am writing true, not. Okay, so technically this is equal to false. Okay, similarly if my result is going to be, let's say, false, I am writing negation operator, so this is equal to true. Now we are going to learn about few programs on logical operators. So let us start with the first one. we are asking user to enter 3 numbers, and we are going to display those 3 numbers in ascending or descending order. So I'm asking user to enter 3 numbers over here, A, B and C. Now my first condition is whether A is greater than or equal to B and A is greater than or equal to C, which means A is greater than B and C. Once that is done, inside of E block, I am going to just check whether who is larger between B and C. So my condition is if B is greater than or equal to C. So till this point, I am sure that A is the largest among A, B and C. So if this condition is true, of course B is the second largest and then C is the smallest. Okay, so my order is like this. This is my descending order and this will be my ascending order. Okay, so I'm just simply printing descending order A, B, C, L, ascending order C, B, A. Now if B is not greater than C, it will execute this else block. Okay, so in this case my descending order will be A, C, B and my ascending order will be B, C, A. Why? Because A was the largest, we were sure about that. Now because my condition was false, which means C is larger than B, so we are printing C. Okay, and ascending is the reverse order. If this condition was false, maybe A was not greater than B or A was not greater than C. So obviously A is not the largest among 3 numbers. So we will be checking B is greater than equal to A and B is greater than equal to C. If this condition will be true, this block will be executed. If compiler is coming till this point, that means B is the largest number. So we just need to check A and C now. So if A is greater than C, we will print this as the order, else we will print this as the order. In both the cases, B is the largest number. If A is the largest, A will be the second number, else C will be the second number. Similarly, if assuming this condition was false, which directly means that C was the largest, so actually we can skip this part, but for your understanding I am writing it. So else if C is greater than or equal to A and C is greater than or equal to B, that means C is the largest number. So we just need to check A and B. So if A is greater than B, we already know at this point that C was the largest number. If A is the greatest, the second number will be A and third number will be B. So here we print that order C, A, B, else C, B, A. Now we are going to write the program for calculating discriminant to identify roots of quadratic equation. So formula for the discriminant is this: B square minus 4AC. Okay, so how we can calculate this value? B multiplied by B minus 4 multiplied by A multiplied by C. I am declaring all my variables over here, R1 and R2 being roots. X is my discriminant and we are taking A, B, C as inputs from user. So here I am asking user to enter 3 variables A, B and C. I am calculating discriminant over here. X is equal to B into B minus 4 into A into C. Once that is done, I am calculating R1 and R2. The formula is simple: minus B plus discriminant divided by 2 multiplied by A. And for R2 we are just switching this sign. These are standard mathematical formulas. So to check roots are unequal or imaginary or both are equal, we are just calculating R1 and R2 for displaying values. So here are my actual conditions with nested if else. So if discriminant is greater than 0, I am writing roots are unequal. Else if x is less than 0, we are writing roots are imaginary. Else we are writing roots are same. And after that I am just displaying values of R1 and R2. Now we are going to write a program to calculate grade based on marks of the student. So my conditions are: if my average is more than or equal to 60, the grade is A. If it is between 50 and 60, then grade is B. And if it is between 40 and 50, grade is C. Else we are writing grade as F. So in the program, I am asking user to enter his roll number. I am also asking him to enter his 3 marks, M1, M2 and M3. Once that is done, we are calculating the total and we are calculating the average. Now you know the reason why average is used as a float variable to have values in decimal places. We are writing 3.0 instead of just 3 because total is an integer and we want average to be a float value. So we are dividing it by 3.0, which is a float constant. So once these calculations are done, we are just printing both the variables, total and average. I am using a format specifier over here. Now here are my actual conditions. If my average is greater than or equal to 60, I am printing the grade as A. Then I am using logical operators for the subsequent conditions. Else if average is greater than or equal to 50 and average is less than 60, that means grade is B. Now why we are using logical operators over here? Assuming my average to be, let's say 55. So the value has to fall between this range 50 and 60. That is why you require logical AND over here. That is when both the equations are true, it will print B. Similarly, we are writing this another condition, average greater than or equal to 40 and average less than 50. In that case, we will be printing C. Else, if none of the cases are true, we are printing F as the output. Now, we are going to accept user's marital status, gender information and age to check whether he or she is eligible for marriage or not. So you must be aware that if in India a male with age greater than or equal to 21 or a female with age greater than or equal to 18 are eligible for marrying. So let us apply this condition in the program. So I'm taking age as a integer number and marital status and gender as character variable. So while asking user his inputs, we are taking %C for character variables and %D for integer variables. So once those inputs are taken from user, I am writing my first condition if marital status is equal to M. So user can enter like this M, F, 25. Now why this comma is required? To have a clear separation between those inputs. So at the time of scanf, I am writing comma here as well. Okay, suppose user enters in a different format. In that case, program might have a logical error or it can just print invalid marital status. Okay, you will understand it once I explain you the logic. So for now, let us assume that user has to enter in this format. Suppose user has entered marital status as M, which means the user is already married. So we are just simply writing you cannot marry because he's already married. Now suppose his marital status is U, that is unmarried. Then I'm going to check whether he's a male or female. Assuming the user is male, then the next condition is to check his age. So suppose his age is greater than 21, we can tell him that he can marry, else he cannot because he is not yet 21 years old. Similarly for females, we can check if gender is F, which is female, then we can check the age criteria for females, which is 18. So if age is greater than 18, we can display output as you can marry, else she cannot. Now for our field gender, if user has not entered either M or F, so that means he has entered some wrong character. So we are just going to enter invalid input gender. Okay, so maybe he can just retry execution and check the program again. Similarly, if he or she has entered some invalid character instead of M or U, so we can display invalid input marital status. So these are just validations which are always advisable. So you can restrict inputs and avoid invalid inputs. Now we're going to learn about conditional operators. So syntax for conditional operator is inside of parenthesis, you can write your expression or condition, and after parenthesis, a question mark is compulsory. And if the condition is true, this will get executed. And if condition is false, this will get executed. So let us take an example. If A is greater than 0, question mark, then this will be printed if A is really greater than 0. Else, we are saying B is greater than 0. Okay. Conditional operators are used as shorthand method for writing your decision control structure. However, they make it little difficult to read. They can also be used as assigning values to a variable. If this is my condition, x equal to 1, this value will be stored into y if it is true. Else 0 will be stored into y if the condition is false. Instead of using assignment, we can also directly write those values into printf statement like this. Okay. So if x is equal to 1, 2 will get printed, else 0 will get printed if the condition is false. Here is the program for finding out largest values from two numbers. So I'm asking user to enter two numbers A and B. So if A is greater than B question mark, I'm just directly going to print largest number is A, else largest number is B. For example, let's say user has entered 10 and 20 as A and B. So 10 greater than 20, which is false. So the program will print largest value is B. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this video with your friends so that this content becomes available to them as well. For more videos like this, visit our website codegod.com. We are uploading at least 2 videos every week. So ensure that you have subscribed to our channel. Thank you for watching this video.